Hello students, I'm Harshada More. Welcome you all in the second lecture for the second unit for the subject International Business Management. So in yesterday's class we have started the unit 2, that is balance of payment, forex market and exchange control. So where we have discussed about what is the meaning of balance of payment. We have discussed balance of payment, difference between balance of payment and balance of trade. We have discussed various factors which are affecting balance of payment. Then we have discussed significance of balance of payment. We have discussed disequilibrium in balance of payment. Important terms we have discussed, structure I have explained. Then we have discussed the components of balance of payment. And today in today's class we'll be discussing about what are the different causes what are the different causes of disequilibrium. So why there is a difference, why there is a unfavorable condition arises. So what are the different factors? Okay, so we have discussed in previous class, we have discussed one component. These are the types, you can say these are the different types of disequilibrium in balance of payment, different types of disequilibrium. So you might face that these are similar to the causes, but when you're explaining in terms of causes, try to write in this way. So what are the causes? First one is natural causes. What does it mean? Natural causes is the causes which are arises due to natural calamities, or so it can be earthquakes, it can be flood. So now even today's pandemic, whatever we are facing, that is also can be treated as a natural causes. So due to this, we can see that economy has fall down, we can see that people are unemployed, people are suffering to meet their basic needs. And so this particular is affecting automatically to the overall economy of the country. So that is what the natural factors, natural calamities, those are disturbing. So those are causing for disequilibrium in balance of payment. Next is economic causes. So what does it mean, economic causes? So what are the economic factors you can take? Economic factors can be cyclical fluctuation. Cyclical fluctuation is, as you people might be aware of, different cycle of particular this trade cycles you might be aware of. So there can be, if two countries are exchanging the goods services, they are doing business, so there might be one country might be facing through recession, and another one might be in boom period. As in yesterday's class I have already explained the what are the stages in a trade cycle. So one country might be having a recession period and one country might be running with a boom period. So this differs, this economic causes, this economic factors are affecting the particular balance of payment, so it creates disturbance. So this is a particular, I can say, because see, automatically if two countries are doing transactions with each other and one of them are facing recession, it will automatically affect the other country. So that is what economic causes means. So it also includes, first one was, it can be as a cyclical fluctuations, as I have explained the trade cycles. Then it can be inflation. As I have said in yesterday's class, inflation is increasing day by day, increasing in the rate of any goods and services. So that is a very dangerous situation, because people are suffering to earn nowadays, and how they'll be able to meet their basic needs. Then we are these are the demonstration in the sense, it can demonstration effect is, it can be includes such as different uh, we are using different technologies, we are having different technologies, advancement of the technology. So somehow sometimes it may sometimes organizations don't have enough funds to buy new technology, or sometimes they are, if they are able to buy the technologies, they may not be able to teach their employees, give training to their employees to how to use that particular machinery, particular asset. So that these are the economic factors. Next is, what are the political factors? So political factors includes different political conditions. It can be what kind of policies government is implementing, what kind of regulations government is implementing. So at the end we have to follow the rules and regulations. And if there can be, like, so for example, demonetization. So when the demonetization case arises, people were scaring, they were running, they were rushing to the ATMs so that they could withdraw maximum money and they could save their money. And that is what the situation where any sudden rules regulations applied by the government may cause to the general people as well as the any international business which we are doing. So next one is, we have a social factors. Social factors is change in a taste and preferences. So you can't say that, suppose there is an organization, they are selling umbrellas, so you can't say that people will continuously purchase the same product from from your company only. No. So taste preference will change. Initially when people used to earn lower level of income, they used to bring any reasonable cheap things. But when people start earning more money, they start, their standard of living increases and they start purchasing the branded products. So that is what the taste and preferences changes. And even the technology or new trends are coming right nowadays, so people are behind the trends. Next is, what are the different remedial measures? So what are the solutions? So first we have discussed what are the causes which are arising disequilibrium in balance of payment, and now we'll be discussing what are the different remedies which we can apply for that. So when you're saying remedies, it includes first one as monetary policy. First one is monetary policy. So monetary policy may be derived to correct the deficit in the balance of payment of the country. So the deficit occurs because of high import and low level of export, I can say. So this is to be reversed. Actually, in this regard, the country may adopt the deflationary or monetary policy by raising the bank rates, or it can be by restricting the credit levels. So under deflation, prices falls, so automatically it will affect on which makes export attractive and import relationally costlier. So people will think twice when they are importing something. So that is what the monetary policy all about. Next is exchange depreciation. So what does it mean? So exchange depreciation means decline in the rate of exchange of one country in terms of another. So it differs from country to country at what rate we are exchanging money. So right now $1 is equals to, I think it is 74.76. I think it is approximately this is the level of dollar and rupee, you can see. So this is what the level, that is exchange rate. So when this exchange rate reduces, it may useful while doing the international business, and it helps to maintain a favorable condition of balance of payment. Next we have devaluation. So it is an alternative to exchange depreciation. So it is suitable under IMF system, that is International Monetary Fund. So devaluation means where there is a you can say official decrease in the external value of currency. So it is in terms of foreign currency. Okay, so this is what how because nowadays we can see that we always say that the value of rupee is decreasing day by day comparing to as compared to dollars. So this is what the situation we are facing in the form of devaluation. So that is again when there is a we can understand the value of rupee is decreasing, but by devaluating the money, by reducing the exchange rate, we can able to balance this particular situation of balance of payment, where we can make unfavorable balance of payment into favorable one. Next is exchange control. So exchange control is restrictions on the use of foreign exchange by the central bank, you can say. Whatever restrictions central bank is putting on the foreign exchange, that is called as exchange control. So when exchange control is adopted, all the exporters have to surrender all the foreign exchange earnings to the central bank. So that is what the condition where. So this is how you can able to balance the unfavorable condition of balance of payment. Next is fiscal policy. Just a second. Next one is fiscal policy. So fiscal policy is another method of correcting the unfavorable balance of payment. So under budgetary previous, we can say that there are different tariffs or different quotas have been applied, so that we can in fiscal policy it will helps us to we put restrictions on import, so that we can more focused on export rather than importing the goods. So when we are exporting, we are it is helping to gain the foreign currency, we are earning foreign currency, so it will be again helpful in the future while exchanging of money, while exchanging the currency. Next is you have as import quota. So import quota in the sense, I think previously I have discussed in previous one of the previous class that what is import quota. Import quota is it is what restrictions on, it is a restrictions on quantity. It is a restrictions on quantity. It is this only this much, this is a maximum level of quantity which is which we can import from others. So this is what the import quotas, where we put some restrictions on import from other countries, so that we can promote export from our country rather than importing the goods from others. So this is what the importing different tariffs, importing the quotas, we can reduce the level of import in the country. So this is what enough for today's class. So in today's class we have discussed what are the different causes of disequilibrium, and we have also discussed what are the remedies to particular reduce those effects of unfavorable balance of payment condition. So that's all for today's class. We'll discuss next aspects in the next class. So I hope you people are understanding. If any doubts related to topics which we have covered, you are free to ask. So that's all for today's class. Thank you.